series of uncooking demonstrations right here from Bristol in England. Our first demonstration is going to be linseed crackers, also known as flax crackers in the raw food world. We're using a slightly different method to the one most people use, and we choose this method because it's so easy to make these perfect circular crackers on the dehydrator sheets. If you make the mixture a little thicker, you get a harder cracker. If you make it thinner or runnier, then you get a Pringle, something that looks like a Pringle, the horrible, disgusting, salty, chemical-laden Pringles, which is quite good if you're transitioning and want something that looks like a familiar, icky snack. So, let's get started. The main ingredient, of course, in a flax cracker is linseed. We have some soaked linseeds there. What I've done is put a cup of linseed into a bowl, and then I filled that bowl up with water, and as you can see overnight it's become this gelatinous mixture, which is kind of almost like a jelly. That's perfect. We don't need to rinse off the water because it's all been completely absorbed into the linseeds, and we're ready to go with the first step. Now, what we're using here to make the crackers is primarily a dehydrator and a Vitamix blender. We're lucky enough to have a Vitamix. You could probably get away with using any reasonably powerful department store or kitchen shop blender if you don't have a Vitamix. If you are on a rural journey and you're thinking about equipping a full rural kitchen, then a Vitamix is probably the first bit of expensive kit you're going to want to buy. 2 horsepower, 240 mile/hour blades. It really does just smash the food to pieces, freeing up those little nutrients that may otherwise just pass through your digestive tract and not get digested. So for many, many reasons, the Vitamix is a good bit of kit to have. You get these big 2-litre jugs to put on top, so you can make big quantities reasonably quickly. And let's get going. So I've got my jug there. That's the standard wet blade Vitamix jug, if you're familiar with Vitamixes already. And first of all, I'm going to put my flax seeds in. Spoon them out with a spatula. They're all in there. The next thing I need are some vegetables. Now we're going for some Italian, Mediterranean, Spanish kind of flavours here. So we've got red pepper, just one of those, one complete red pepper, a bell pepper if you use the US terminology, and 2 vine-ripened, red, juicy, large tomatoes. If there were smaller tomatoes, maybe use 3 or 4. I'm just going to go and get those now. I tend to chop things up roughly, even if I am using a Vitamix. Just makes the blending process happen easier, although you can just use the tamper, which is a sort of prodder that comes with a Vitamix, to just squish down the material into the blades and do it that way. I don't like doing too much tampering, so I chop it up just roughly into big chunks. I'm going to put that in there. Dropped a little bit, counts as clean though. Then for seasoning, I'm going to put 1 clove of garlic, just a nice big chunky clove, whack it in there. And some seasoning, and I'm not going to put salt in here because so many people are watching their salt intake, but I am going to put some oregano. If you do need that salty taste, by all means put some salt in. I like to use the Himalayan pink rock salt, which you can get in most decent health food shops, pretty much anywhere these days. I'm going to go and get some oregano. If you had some fresh oregano growing in your herb garden, by all means use that. I'm using just the dried stuff. Organic dried stuff. So I'm probably going to put quite a bit in, probably like a tablespoon, perhaps a bit more than that even. In it goes. Now all I need to do is add enough water to make a thick but sort of labelable mixture. I want it thin enough that I can just sort of spoon it on to a dehydrator sheet. So probably it's going to be 2 to 3 cups of water, but I do it by eye until I get that material. Start with maybe 1 or 2 cups and then add little bits of water until you get the mixture. Because everybody's tomatoes are going to be different sizes, everybody's peppers are going to be different sizes. Some people might have soaked their flax seeds a little longer than others. Some might have slightly different linseeds or flax seeds and they might take on more water. So there's a lot of by eye in this process. It's not really 2 cups of that, 1 cup of that kind of recipe. I'm going to get some water. So in it goes, that looks about right. Just about 1 cup I feel. Put the lid of the Vitamix on. I will have the tamper we talked about to hand just in case. That's the tamper. Put him in. I always like to start on a low level on the Vitamix. If you've got a variable Vitamix, most of the ones sold in the UK are. I don't think these simpler ones are even sold at all unless you've sort of imported one or taken one back from holiday or something in the United States. So I start on variable, very low speed just to see what happens. I don't want ingredients just splattering all around the blender and making it more messy than it needs to be. So let's have a look. Then I just bring it up slowly, mix it up, gentle prodding. I'm not forcing this thing down. What I add was a bit of onion. A bit of onion is good for flavour too. Doesn't matter at all, I can just put it in now. So we're talking maybe 1/4 to 1/2 of a small onion. Start from low again. Okay, I've blended that for maybe about 30 seconds. What you're really looking for is for the flax seeds to be basically broken down, smashed to smithereens. You don't want to have individual seeds still in there. You want them to release out those omega-3s. So that's pretty much done. What I do add though, more for decoration, is some further linseeds, just so you can see the odd 1 or 2 linseeds in the crackers, so you can kind of see what you're eating. I like to do that just for decoration, and I'll just do that on a low speed. Process is done. We're now going to be using this thing, which is an Excalibur dehydrator. Among the raw foodists who like to dehydrate, and not all of them do dehydrate, Excalibur's pretty much the Bentley, the Rolls Royce. It's a big American thing. It looks sort of bigger and heavier than it is. In reality, it's a kind of plastic box with a very fairly small fan at the back and a heating element. It will get quite hot, but if you notice on top the live food setting, that keeps it at a temperature below 105 degrees. Which just ensures that the food doesn't actually cook, it dries without destroying those digestive enzymes, which raw food people like to talk about so much. A blob of the gelatinous, wholesome, tasty linseed mixture. You can see it's almost like jelly if I wobble it. I don't know if that's showing on the camera. Coming from the side here, so I'm a little bit off centre, but obviously don't try and waste the space, try and get them as close together without touching. They don't really spread too much. And they look quite high when you place them, but they go very thin in the end. Now this is a somewhat earlier batch that I've made, a little bit thinner than the mixture we've just put in, and as you can see, it's got a lovely colour and looks kind of like a Pringle. And that's it.
Je regarde les autres